Hey there, my name is Brett McIsaac. I go by pronouns he, him, and this is my Masters of Social Work Capstone Project 2021. I would like to begin my capstone project with a bit of a land acknowledgement. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which I am presenting to you today is located on the treaty lands and the territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit. In particular, I would like to acknowledge the territories of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, Petun peoples, and the land that is home to the Métis. As we continue to call for justice, we strive to create an inclusive environment that results in peace and respect for Indigenous nations, Black, and all racialized groups. I would also like to acknowledge that First Nations peoples have been practicing mental wellness for thousands of years and continue to be disproportionately affected by mental illness and addictions because of colonization. So, I'm presenting today from the city of Toronto, but I'm actually not from here. I'm originally from Sydney, Nova Scotia, and I was born and raised in Nova Scotia until about age 22, where I left to live in the USA for a bit, and now I've been in the Ontario for about 6 years. It only made sense to complete my master's within Ontario as well, and the last year has been such an amazing experience. Never in a million years I think I'd be completing a master's program through a global pandemic, but honestly it was probably the best time to continue my education, and it has been such a growing and amazing experience. Throughout the MSW program, I was able to do a practicum within an online virtual counseling service. So the agency was called TeleCBT, which really focused on delivering high quality and accessible services Canada-wide on an online platform. I was able to work within the province of Ontario and serve clients throughout the province. I was able to meet with clients one-on-one, provide them different CBT experiences, while also running different virtual groups and also implementing different strategies to the agency. I had a really amazing supervisor with TeleCBT who was actually the CEO of the agency as well. She was able to really try to understand what my goals, my aspirations, and what my skill sets were, and really believed in autonomy since day one. She let me hit the ground running with all of my skills and really gave me environments to be creative and also grow as a social worker. Throughout the practicum experience, I was actually able to research, implement, and develop a full anxiety CBT workshop, which the agency was able to turn into a moduled workbook and actually continue on through OHIP coverage, which is pretty cool. Both personally and professionally, I often go into different environments and different care providers, really trying to seek out how they are inclusive to other people. So it was only natural for me when I did start with TeleCBT to really look at the virtual platform and understand how are we able to make this service more inclusive for other folks accessing the services. As I identify as a queer man myself, I'm particularly keen on finding out how different agencies are able to incorporate inclusive practices for the 2S LGBTQ+ community. One thing I noticed right away when coming into the agency is that pronouns use was just not heard of. It just was something that the clinicians were not using. And through my own personal experience with clients who identified as queer and used our environment as a safer space to open up to me, I truly recognized by incorporating pronouns use from our clinicians and our doctors that it could set the stage and perhaps open the door to have that conversation with a client. I was able to research pronouns and their use and draft a policy plan to my supervisor. She truly believed in being inclusive as well and took my policy and formulated into an official drafted policy for the agency. So actually on my last couple of weeks, I received a copy of the policy that all clinicians were required to read and implement into their practice. So TeleCBT now uses pronouns within all their virtual platforms and on all their virtual profiles. I think by incorporating pronouns use within TeleCBT, it's a small step towards inclusive practices and also the recognition and acceptance of the diversity among our clients. I think this directly relates to the CASW Code of Ethics Value Number 1, which is respect for the inherent dignity and worth of persons, meaning that we respect and understand that every individual is unique as who they are and have the rights and the respect to identify and be who they are. This also includes incorporating decision-making and choices among them as well, which I believe it directly relates into what a pronoun really is and how it is accepted among society, especially within a mental health agency. Before going into the art piece that I've created for my capstone project, I wanted to give a bit of a description about why I created it and the way I did it. Something I do not do for self-care is art, even though I very much enjoy it. So I wanted to use this project as a method to really explore my creative side and see what I come up with, which is why I created an abstract painting. So I used a small piece of canvas paper, and through different colors, textures, and different types of paints, I was able to create an art project that I think truly represents my MSW learning experience. I created it with two different perspectives in mind. The first one would be me, going through the journey and learning through the MSW program. So as you'll see in the image, there's a silhouette of a human being guided on a path going into the city. So as I've spent a lot of time in the city over the last year and really reflecting on all of the work I've done throughout the program, I wanted to depict that mindset into the picture. The second perspective that I had for my picture was actually to capture the journey a client goes on when trying to seek mental health and addiction supports. So as you notice the different textures and the different things going on in the image, you can see that the silhouette is actually walking into those textures. I did that purposely because when reaching out for different mental health and addiction supports, it can be a really scary and really overwhelming step trying to find supports, especially in the city. I wanted to put that on paper because I think it's important to recognize the journey that our clients go on and how as a social worker, we can be that empathetic and genuine first step for them as well in guiding them on their path to recovery. So this is my art project, and in a moment I will take a minute to dissect different areas of this project and show you how the MSW learning experiences have been incorporated throughout it. But for now, please take in the colors, the different dimensions, the textures, and everything I've created within this image. And also be mindful of the two different perspectives that I've shared before on why I've created this in particular. So for the individual, I really wanted to make this person the focal point to the entire image. As you immediately notice, the individual has many different colors throughout them. This is meant to represent the lived experiences and intersectionalities that each person has. So going into every situation, including mental health and addiction supports, we have lived experience that is a part of us and part of our identity. However, it's not always visible. Whether it be positive or negative, we cannot see it when engaging with clients and vice versa. So for this image, I really wanted to piece together the colors to represent these intersectionalities and wear it as an outfit. So the next part I want to focus on of the individual is the metal heart that I've placed on their chest. This is to represent the difficulties and hardships we have when navigating mental health and addiction supports, and in particular through the Social Work 609 course titled Social Work Practice and Mental Health, we've learned about the difficulties and the struggles that come around diagnosing. So we had to write a paper that spoke about how diagnosing can be helpful, and in many times it can be, and how also diagnosing can also be harmful. Therefore, a metal heart represents that sometimes when we do engage with clients, they may be closed off. We can be closed off from those experiences. But as a social worker, we can go into these situations and have those tough, difficult conversations to really be empathetic and support a person where they're at, to be able to open them up again to living a meaningful life. I created the city in the background to be light colors and opaque in general. This is to represent that the city of Toronto needs and demands to be transparent in the decisions and the influence they have on its residents. In particular, how they are supporting our clients and the residents of Toronto through housing initiatives. So in particular, currently right now, the housing situation within Toronto has a wait time between 5 and 7 years. This directly impacts the work we do as social workers because we need to ensure that our clients have a safe place to reside in and feel that sense of safety throughout their life. This truly draws on a systems theory approach and how people interact with the environment that they currently live in. So taking into account things like culture and safety, community, and having access to family and different supports is very much important. In particular, folks from marginalized communities should and need to have access to other folks within their community to feel that sense of belongingness. This made me reflect on the very first course that we've taken through the MSW program, which was titled Social Work 600, Diversity and Health. Throughout this course, we learned about the social determinants of health and how they're impacted by the community around us. We were also taught about how by accessing healthcare providers that share similar backgrounds to us, that this can directly influence how we feel and how we are able to relate within our intersectionalities of our life. One of the first things the MSW program asked us to do was introduce who we were, in which I posted a photo with myself and my dog. So I feel like it is only fitting that my dog Dell joins me for the final portion of the Capstone project. The MSW program has been an amazing opportunity that I've built so many new relationships with, fine-tuned a lot of my social work skills, and have just really motivated myself to continue the work that we do as social workers. I plan to move forward to continuously and constantly fight for inclusion, especially for folks within marginalized communities and also who might live with mental health and addictions issues.